The Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday have a chance to win their 7th consecutive AFC West divisional title. But that's not as easy as it sounds, as they're going against a Houston Texan bunch that put up a fight last week against the Dallas Cowboys. And today we're going to focus on some key points that I want to see the Kansas City Chiefs excel in this Sunday. But before we do get into all of that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. Now, as we dive into this game, I do want to mention we're going to kind of give it a little preview as we did last week, the same with the Denver Broncos, where I'm basically going to focus on our Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't want to slight this in any way to the Houston Texans because it's going to sound messed up, but I don't really have much to talk about them besides the injury bugs seem to hit them hard. We know what their record is, but at the end of the day, the record doesn't speak for what this team displays on the field week in and week out. We saw it last week against the Dallas Cowboys. This is a highly competitive team, and if the Kansas City Chiefs aren't on their P's and Q's against this team, we're going to have another slugfest, and Kansas City is going to be struggling to find a way to win their 7th consecutive division titles. In this video, what we're going to focus on, I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 areas that I want to see excel and basically improvements as we head into this playoff stretch. We all know there's a lot of questions that Chiefs Kingdom's got on their team, and let's see if we can get some answers, and I'm going to pose those questions today. And with that, now let's get fully into this. Now the first area I'm going to focus on, and it's going to be on the offensive side of the ball. I know a lot of Chiefs Kingdom fans, your questions are on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to get there and explore all of that. But my main question, my number one question that I want to see, I don't want to say resolve, but I kind of want to see evolve, expanded in this game plan, definitely as we make a playoff push, is run the football. I know I sound like a broken record, but that record's going to be on repeat until I see a consistency in the run game. Will that ever happen? I don't know, because we know how Coach Reid goes and we know what kind of scheme he likes to run. But again, the key word right now is going to be evolve. And I think it'd be great to see him evolve in through December and January and show that the Kansas City Chiefs aren't just a passing team and that they can beat you in the run game. We have seen it in the few weeks and even in the loss against the Cincinnati Bengals, to where if they just focused on Isaiah Pacheco or Jerick McKinnon, that might have been the way to control and win the game. That is going to be my key focal point. That is why I mentioned it first, is run Isaiah Pacheco. Give him 25 to 30 touches in this game and see what he can do. See if he is a bell cow. Not in just this game, but in the future, and not in the short-term future, but also your long-term future. We've seen the growth with Isaiah Pacheco exponential. Like, the main question coming into the season was, we knew he had the speed, we knew he had the power. It's basically, can he mature quick enough? Can he find the hole? Will his vision basically get enhanced? And that is, and it's crazy to see it basically expand within 2 months. Now just put it all on his plate. He is a bell cow. Now let him be that moving forward. I think this is the perfect game to do it, because the one thing the Houston Texans struggle with, you might say many things the Houston Texans struggle with, but their actually defense, they excel in the pass game. Now, yes, they're going to be missing a few cornerbacks, and yes, that might be time for Patrick Mahomes to basically try to, find his weapons and go to and basically get back into that quote-unquote MVP running. But that's not what I'm focused on, because the Houston Texans rush defense is really, really bad. And I know, I say it all the time, this is the game where Isaiah Pacheco can go nuts if the offensive coordinator, if Coach Reid lets him. And also, too, I'm not going to say just let Patrick Mahomes just chill, because no, you got the greatest quarterback in the league right now. So, of course, you want him to do his thing. But at the end of the day, I think one thing that'll make Patrick Mahomes great is if you get him a balance between the pass and the run. And I think that will be bold and key going into the playoffs too. Just imagine how good Patrick Mahomes would be if he had a runner, a rusher, kind of like Kareem Hunt when he was with Alex Smith, or even in Patrick Mahomes' first year. If you had that consistency in a run game, man, defenses will play Mahomes different. They'll play the pass difference to where it opens up the pass game completely. And I don't get why we don't focus on the run game. And it's going to be a key issue I'm going to stress until I see Isaiah Pacheco. I'll start small, okay? Because we haven't seen it a lot. I think last week, he had 12, 13 carries. Give me 20 carries. That's all I'm asking for. And let's see what he can do. I guarantee it. I can book it right here, right now. If Isaiah Pacheco gets 20 carries, he's going over 110 yards and a tud. And that's going to be a great stat. Yeah, you might think I'm crazy, but I believe if you pile the workload on him, he will do good. And also, too, you will see as well, like I mentioned, once you pile that workload on him, Mahomes will be able to go deep. He will be able to find his weapons. And another kind of key thing I want to focus on in this game as well. Like I said, yes, Texans struggle with a lot, but another thing they struggle with, their secondary is really good, but they struggle covering the tight ends. That means Travis Kelce might have a day in this one, but that's not no surprise, and that's why I really don't want to mention it. But Travis has been, I want to say, kind of quiet. I mean, we consider 70 yards by a tight end quiet, eclipsing 10,000 yards quiet, but he hasn't had one of those big breakout games. He might be able to have one in this game, but on the offensive side of the ball right now, I want to focus on Isaiah Pacheco, and I want to focus on him not just getting involved, but heavily involved in this game. Now we're going to focus on the key positions where everybody wants to focus on that side of the ball, and that's the defense. Now, the defense last week, I don't want to say inconsistent, because if you look at the stats and you look at the game tape, they're the reason why the Kansas not won, but had a really good game. But at the end of the day, it was the Denver Broncos. And I don't really want to focus on the D-line either, because one thing I do want to focus on is the secondary. I think that's the biggest question marks, and I'm not going to focus on the cornerbacks because I believe the cornerbacks can hold their own. This game is going to remind me a lot of the Tennessee Titans, where we went up against a rookie quarterback, and he really didn't have any weapons. Now, we're doing the same in this game. Davis Mills is more than a rookie quarterback, but they play a two-quarterback system as of what they did last week, and I don't know if we're going to be presented with the same thing. But what I really loved seeing this week was the report that the Kansas City Chiefs basically used their practice squad quarterback. I always mess up his name. Honestly, I didn't even know he was still on our practice squad, but we're going to give it another run, and Chris Oludokun and then Shane Buechele. The Kansas City Chiefs ran a two-quarterback set in practice this week just to prepare for the Houston Texans. Now, that is what I love to see before we get into my point is this team is 1-11-1 or 1-10-1. And the Kansas City Chiefs are still treating them like a serious opponent, as they should. You don't want to sleep on anyone, and I'm glad to see that because you can get got any Sunday. So I'm glad to see they are taking this serious and they're practicing for a two-quarterback set. That really, really made me happy because some teams and most teams probably don't even do that. When they practice for the Houston Texans, they just practice for the scheme and go with it, and they don't even anticipate two quarterbacks, and they just look at the records. I'm glad to see Coach Reed has this team head on a swivel and ready to go and push forward and try to get this another AFC West divisional championship. Now that we focus on the defensive side of the ball, as I mentioned, we will focus on the secondary. And the thing I'm really not going to focus too much about is these cornerbacks. We will actually get to that later on in this video. What I'm going to focus right now is that middle of the field. It's those safeties. And you got Justin Reed coming home, and you got Juan Thornhill. Juan Thornhill last week, he made plays and then he didn't. It was inconsistent. I want to see those strides to be great, and the same with Justin Reed. One thing I would really love in this game, it is your homecoming. Be perfect to see you basically have a homecoming show out and show them what they're missing and basically just ball out and show Chiefs Kingdom what you are all about. I'm not saying you haven't done that this year, but if I'm going to be real, I don't know if you've met the bar or the exceptions. You've been a good player, but we want to see you take that next step. And I would love to see you get your first turnover, whether it be fumble, whether it be interceptions. It's something the Kansas City Chiefs are lacking this year, and it's something they need to turn around. And if Justin Reed can get an interception this game, it would be great. But that middle of the field needs to be more locked down because we see Josh Williams, he has stepped up. He has done his thing, and you may say he's inconsistent. He's a rookie, but he is doing his thing. We already know what Trent McDuffie is about. He's clamped. He has his own island. And with wide receivers who, quite frankly, I don't know who we're going up against. I'm lying, of course. I know who we're going up against. Brandon Cooks, he might be active, he might be inactive. At the end of the day, it's someone you got to study for, so that will be someone to keep your eyes on for. But last week, someone who showed up very, very well in this receiving game was Chris Moore. He had 11 catches for like over 100 yards. No one even knew of the kid. And Kansas City, they give up a lot of yards to the wide receivers. And if they don't shut down this supposedly no-name kid, he can go for back-to-back good games. So Kansas City, close that middle of the field and let these two guys on the outside do their things with Williams and McDuffie. And we already know Snead's going to be clamped on the outside and the inside as well in the slot. I just really want to see improvement from these safeties because again, you could say it's scheme, you could say it's players. At the end of the day, you're right. I need Spags to scheme up the right plays, and I need the players to excel too, because this just won't slide against good teams in the playoffs. And honestly, I'd love to see it if we win, but I don't want to see Mahomes dueling back and forth with a Joe Burrow or with a Josh Allen in the playoffs, and we're dealing like 45-40. Yes, it's exciting, but at the end of the day, do I think the Kansas City Chiefs can win a shootout? Yeah. But do I want them to? No. I want to see this defense step up in the late months of January so we can make a Super Bowl run. And right now, the biggest need has been, can these linebackers cover and can these safeties cover? Right now, my full view is going to be on these safeties, and I want to see huge plays stepping up. I would love to see an interception by Juan Thornhill this week. He almost had like 2 last week. Haul those in. Justin Reed, it's your homecoming. Let's have fun. Let's get a pick and let's seal it off. That would be huge in these games because we know turnovers is what Kansas City has been lacking this year, and that's something that needs to ramp up really, really quickly. Now, speaking on turnovers, we're going to stick with that because, as I mentioned, the Kansas City Chiefs have one of the worst turnover differentials, and it's crazy that this team is 10-3 with how bad their turnover differential is this year. I think it's at a -4 or -5. That is crazy. Usually teams with that bad of a turnover differential aren't this good of a football team. So it's a really bad stat. But at the end of the day, it shows you how good this team can be and how good this team is, that they can overcome turnovers and still excel and win games. But at the end of the day, just imagine if the ball turned the other way and the Kansas City Chiefs somehow, some way start getting their hands on a few fumbles and a few interceptions. These games might not be as competitive. I'm not slighting anyone. But at the end of the day, if Kansas City can get more turnovers, these games might not be quote-unquote as interesting or as stressful, and the Kansas City Chiefs might again be one of those top-end teams that a lot of people don't predict because we just focus on the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, rightfully so, because that's who's taken us off this year. But if the Kansas City Chiefs can just somehow, some way get picks, and I just feel they're close. Even last week, I know it's the Denver Broncos, but they had a lot of deflections. They even had a pick six with Willie Gay, which was amazing to see. They're getting schemed in the right areas. They just need to excel there. Trent McDuffie even dropped a pick. I'd love to see him get his first pick as well. Snead had a pick last week. Those turnovers will start coming Kansas City's way. And when they do, and when the offense can get out of this red zone spurt and correct some of those mistakes as well, Kansas City is going to be a harder team to beat. They're already a difficult team to beat. But if they could correct this turnover differential at the end of the year, and then you go into the playoffs forcing turnovers, it's a team you don't want to see in the playoffs. And that's why I got that being one of my things I want to keep my eyes out for. Because I feel like all year I've been focused on, damn, when is this team going to get an interception? Damn, when is this team going to get a fumble? It's like we keep shooting ourselves in the foot, and then the other team, that's how they stay in the game. I want to see Kansas City get turnovers and play really sound football and excel on both the offense and defensive side of the ball. I don't know. I just feel like the picks are coming, and maybe they're coming at the right time because it's playoff football time, and that's the time you need to play your best. Now, we're going to close this video off, and can I just speak my mind a little bit? Yeah, because I always do anyways in my videos, but this one's going to be a little different because the Kansas City Chiefs are getting some weapons coming back. It looks like, as the reports of tonight, is Kadarius Toney will play in this game. Will it be limited fashion? Probably so. Probably ease them back in the lineup the same way they did with Juju. And McCall Hardman practiced all this week. He was designated to come back. He probably won't play in this game, rightfully so, and he'll probably come back against the Seattle Seahawks. So that's good to see these weapons coming back. But my main key concern, it's something that's been bothering me throughout the whole year that I just don't quite understand or get is, can we please, and I beg, please, can we see more of Sky Moore? Like, come on, Coach Reed. Come on, Coach Bieniemy. Come on, Coach Nagy. Listen, I want to see him out there. It's like every time he touches the ball, he does some positive stuff. I'm talking the offense. I'm not talking special teams. Like, I get those special teams woes or something else. But when he catches the ball, when he takes reverses, it's like there's always something good happening. Now, I'm not going to say they didn't try to get him the ball against Denver, because they did. But the unfortunate thing was, the pass that was thrown to him was behind him. That ended up being an amazing interception by Pat Surtain. I just want to, like, during that stretch when Tony was out and when McCole Hardman was out, I thought that was the perfect time to get him the ball. Now maybe I'm not watching. I'm not in the actually room and things like that. Maybe he's not getting open enough, and maybe he hasn't built that trust with Mahomes. But I've seen in a couple games this year too where he's made key clutch catches where Mahomes trusts him. I just would love to see him more and more out there. Like, just get him the ball. I want to see what he can do. I'd love to see him get a touchdown in this game to get that monkey off his back. It's just crazy to see. In this offense where it's like anyone can eat, the only one that hasn't really ate this year was Sky Moore besides like one game, and that was like 60 yards. I want to see him. I want to see his potential on full display in this game and moving forward too, because yes, we got Kadarius Toney coming back. We got McCole Hardman coming back. Juju is looking fully healthy now. And MVS, he's an inconsistent player at best, but he's your deep threat. You go up, he'll try to bring it down 9 times out of 10. I don't even want to say 9 times. Well, if they're difficult, he'll come down with them. If no one's covering him, he'll probably drop them. But if you can add another weapon of Sky Moore before the playoff run, that would be so like pivotal and crazy to see. And like a lot of teams haven't even schemed up or even know who Sky Moore is. And if you just have 4 different threats, including Travis Kelce on the offensive side of the ball going into this playoff stretch, you're going to be hard to stop. And then you got to see, that's why I said just let me talk, because we're going to talk this out, because it's been bothering me all season. Literally, you got Travis Kelce, Juju, McCole Hardman, Kadarius Toney. I'm going to not put MVS because it's not so much, but if you can add Sky Moore in there, that's 5 different weapons right there. And then I'm also going to talk. Then you can have a really stellar run game going in the playoffs, sharing with Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon. Look at all those weapons. This team shouldn't be able to be stopped because Patrick Mahomes can pick his poison. As I mentioned in this beginning of the video, if you can find a well-balanced between the run and the pass game, and the run basically 15 to 20 carries a game, it opens up the pass to where Mahomes feels like he's in heaven. Like, they're going to start scheming different. The passes are going to be open, and he's just going to be, toom, toom, toom. Oh, you cover him? I'll give it to Pacheco, and he'll run it and run through you for 6-7 yards. I know I'm not a coach. I know it's not this simple, but it seems like it can be. And it just seems like the Kansas City Chiefs make it much more harder than it has to be. And I just love to see these few players that I mentioned get more Isaiah Pacheco. Involve Jerick McKinnon more in the pass game is what we're doing, and I love to see it. And then get Sky more and more involved, because I feel like what's going to happen is, Kadarius Toney's back. He's not going to be fully pushed in this game, I believe, but Mahomes loves him, and if he finds him open, he's going to force the ball his way. I just want to see everything gel and mesh together, because I know once it does, this is a legit Super Bowl team that nobody can beat, and that's what I'm excited for. I just haven't seen all the pieces to the puzzle put together yet, but there's still a chance for it all to happen, and I'm excited to see some of my questions get answered against the Houston Texans. You guys dive in the comments down below. Let me know what you're looking for tomorrow against the Texans, and let me know, hey, will it be a hard game? I expect it to be. One, not just because it's the Kansas City Chiefs, but the Texans show up. Don't look at their record. They show up every week, and they play good football, and the Kansas City Chiefs will definitely have a challenge. But also that too, guys, let me know some players you're looking for in this game to step up and rise to the occasion. With that, I'm going to sign off. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Give me that big thumbs up if you like this video. I'm going to check back in with you after the game for my reaction. Y'all take care. Peace.